Also, by the way, before I start this video, I'm gonna have this video just a one video thing. You know, not like not like this me talking about the Seahawks and the Mariners, because I was about to do that, but but I'm not gonna do that. And I said that in the video and stuff, but I'm not gonna do that because I need to. Because I don't have like enough storage for that, and stuff like that, because I have to clear, some storage, and I don't feel like doing all that right now, so yeah, man, and stuff. So I'm trying to look for the easiest way out to do that, and stuff. But I hope y'all like this video. Let's go, man. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Preston here, and boy, oh boy, man. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Last game was rough, and shit like that. Batting didn't really do shit in that game, and shit like that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, no matter what, I will always have faith in my boys, and shit like that. You know what I mean? I will always have faith in my team, and shit like that. You know what I mean? I am a full-breeded Seattle Mariner fan. Regardless of win, lose, or draw for today, I am proud of my Seattle Mariners, regardless of anything. I would literally bake these guys like 1,000 cookies, bro, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, literally, like, seriously, like, regardless of anything. Like, these guys have went through a lot, bro. Like this is the farthest that the Mariners have ever in the history has ever been, bro. Yes. But at the same time, though, the one thing that is a bone to pick is that we are the only team in the MLB and shit like that, that has never been, or we're the only team in the MLB that has never been to the World Series, bro. Like, come on now, like that's a little bit slum-like, and shit like it just. I'm just saying, bro. I have mixed feelings about it, No matter what, this is a win-win game, bro. No matter what, I can't be mad if we end up losing the game. You know what I mean? And that's the thing and shit like that. But I have all the faith in the team that we're gonna win. And shit like that. You know what I mean? If we were able to win 3 of those times and shit, we're able to win this time. And stuff like that. You know what I mean? And we need this more than the Blue Jays. I don't know why the fuck the Blue Jays want this so bad, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, literally, it's like, it's like, y'all already, like, y'all been to the World, like, y'all have, like, fucking, like, 5 World Series rings. A lot of them were from a long time ago, and shit like that, you know what I mean? But, but you guys have enough World Series, man. The Mariners don't, bro. Literally, bro. We only got like, the only time we went to the ACLS championship was back in 2001, my nigga. 2001, bro. Literally, bro. 2001 was the last time we went to the ACLS championship. And shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing and shit like that, So, I'm just saying, bro, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, hooey, man, this is a big game, bro. The biggest thing what we got to do in this game is we have to make this game defensive. We cannot allow this team to score 6 points, bro. We can't allow this team to score anything. The most is maybe 2 points, bro. And shit like that. You know what I mean? Anytime that they score more, anytime that they score like up to like 4 points, and shit like that. You know what I mean? It puts a lot of pressure on us, bro. A lot of pressure because our batting is not nearly as consistent as the Blue Jays. Like, the Blue Jays' batting is way more consistent than the Mariners. Even though the Mariners can still get around with their batting, and shit like that, you know what I mean? Obviously, it's proven in the series against the Blue Jays. It proved in this in the playoff against the Detroit Tigers, and shit like that. You know what I mean? But it's just the Blue Jays score high points all the time, bro. Like, if it was any other team, bro, and shit like that, it would have been a lot more easier for us to manage to make them not score a point, and shit like that, But the Blue Jays, that's the team that's really fucking hard to make them not score anything, you know, and shit like that, you know. But it just, we have no other choice, man. We have to depend off of our defense. Our pitching is the reason why we're in the ACLS championship, you know, and shit like that, you know. If you look at it, our pitching is the reason why we're in the ACLS championship, you know, and shit like that, you know. So we have to do really good with our pitching. We can't allow them to score. We have to get these quick outs. We got to make sure that when we score, that is the only score that's happening in the fucking game, bro. We got to be lights out with this fucking baseball, bro, with this game, bro. Literally, dude, we got to be lights out with this game, dude. Lights out, dude. Literally, man. It's just like, this is a big game, bro. This is a big game, dude. Really fucking big game, dude. But as long as our defense can showcase oh shit. Sorry about that, guys. But as long as the Blue Jays aren't scoring basically anything, you know, and shit like that, you know, like that's the thing, you know, and shit like that, we'll be able to do good, you know, as long as we can put onto the board of like 3 points. And that's the thing. As long as we could put 3 points, I'm pretty sure that we're in very much of competition against the Blue Jays, because they know of how good our defense is and how good we can be able to close those downs, you know, or close those innings, you know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Sorry guys, I had to light the Rastafarian. But yeah, man, and shit like that, you know what I mean? Like, man, bro, it's just like, literally, dude, it's just like, we gotta get through these niggas, bro. Like, I'm just saying, like, flat out. Like, it just, and also, what we gotta do, please hit the stinking ball, bro, in the middle of the bat. In the middle of the bat, bro. On my life, bro. On my family. That ball would not be fouling like that. Or probably not very much at all. If we would hit that ball in the center of that fucking bat, bro. Literally, I understand that shit's difficult, bro. But bro, we put up like 12 points or 10 points or however many fucking points we put against the Blue Jays that one time. And we scored like 4 homers in that game. It was an all-out homer game in that game, dude. You know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? You know why? Because we were hitting the ball in the center of the fucking bat, bro. Literally. We need to hit the ball in the center of the bat. Literally. Like, I'm not trying to, like, say anything. I'm just saying, dude. You know, because if we could do that, more, like, 90% of the time, that ball is going to be driven, you know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing and shit like that. You know, I understand not all the time is going to be lucky, but I'm not going to lie. We need to increase the percentage of these chances where we could be able to hit that ball in the middle of the bat, bro. Because I'm just saying, if we do that on the solid part of the bat, you know what I mean, bro? That solid part of the fucking bat. I've been playing baseball all of my fucking life, bro. You know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, literally, dude. When you hit that ball in the center of that fucking bat, you know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, that shit is gonna have a donk to that. It's gonna have, like a donk to it. Almost like a rubber ball hitting the bat, you know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Almost like a rubber ball hitting the bat, you know, and shit like that. That's, like, the solid part of the bat, man, you know, and shit like that, you know. Like, we need to hit that shit on that part, man. Like, literally, like, man, bro, like that. Like, when you don't feel anything from the fucking bat, when you hit that shit straight from the middle, that there is no chance that ball is going to be in that fucking park, bro. Literally. Like, I am just saying, bro. Like, I'm just saying, man. It's just, we gotta be more consistent with our batting, man. We got to, man. Because right now, it's just, I don't really have any, like trust into, our batting, you know, and shit like that right now. Overall, yeah. But I'm just saying right now, it's just I don't really got any faith in our batting, bro. You know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing and shit like that. You know, like we gotta step the fuck up. You know, and shit like that. You know, we gotta hit that ball center to the bat, bro. Majority of these guys on the team would be having really nice hits, bro. Really, really nice hits, dude. If we could be able to hit the ball in the center of the bat, bro. You know, and shit like that, you know. And that's the thing and shit like that, you know. It's just like, because how the fuck is it like, and also our accuracy too. And shit like that, you know. It's like we gotta get better with our accuracy, man. Like, it can't be, at the end of the day, for how many times we're striking out, it can't be that fucking hard and shit to hit that damn ball, bro. Literally, bro. But yeah, I don't know if I skipped any parts, but you know, but I didn't know my phone was gonna shut off like that, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, but I'm just saying, man, like we gotta step up, man, you know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like we gotta step up, bro. You know, and shit like that. You know, like our pitching, you know, it's like not in a bad way that we gotta step up, but we just gotta step up knowing that, you know, that like we're the dependable part of the team, not the batting. You know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? And this is the last game, bro. This is the last game. Like literally, bro. Like we have no chance. We have no other chance but to win this game, dude. I am just saying, who thought we were gonna go in there and to be this fucking competitive against the Blue Jays? Most people thought we were just gonna lose every fucking single game against the Blue Jays, bro. Nada, bro. Literally, and look, and what did we do? We went in there and we won, and the series is tied right now, bro. We were up 2-0 before, you know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like literally, man. And now the series is tied for the Seattle Mariners. Like, and we're in the ACLS championship, bro. We need to use that as motivation for us to increase our ability, man. You know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Because there ain't no way that these guys are just like, bro, like these guys are not better than like, I refuse to say that any players is better than any of the fucking players on their team, bro. You know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, Yee Savage, he's a fucking good ass pitcher. You know, overall, I will admit their batting is way better than the Mariners. But at the same time, it's not like the Seattle Mariners don't know how to fucking hit that ball. You know, and shit like that. You know what I mean? We need to hit the rock, dude. Literally, bro. We need to hit that damn rock, bro. Literally. Like, I am just saying, like, we need to drive that shit. We need to hit that The main thing what we need to do is that we need to hit that shit pinpoint center on the fucking bat, bro. Like, literally, bro. Like, we have some creative batters when they hit the ball. Like, literally, bro. Like, bro, we got some strong fucking hitters on our team, bro. Literally, as long as we can be able to hit that ball in the center of the bat, you know, and shit like that. As long as we can hit that ball in the center of the bat, then yeah, man, then literally, bro, then I'm just saying, we should have a big ass chance into winning this fucking game, bro. You know, and shit like that. Just please, man. And the biggest thing too, we got to make sure we get a good lead first, like in the beginning, man. You know, like a 3-5 nothing to 5-0 lead. You know, like in the beginning. You know, in the first to like in like the first to like 3 innings. You know, and shit like that. Because if we get that kind of start, you know how much anxiety the fucking Blue Jays is gonna be through, bro. I am just saying, dude. Like we gotta make sure that we can get that starting point, you know, to getting points, you know, and shit like that. Because as long as we can do that, bro, I'm just saying, bro, we have a big chance into winning this game, bro. A big chance into fucking winning this game, man. And I'm just saying, dude, you know, so, yeah, man. But yeah, you know, and I'm back, you know, and shit like that, you know what I mean? And, you know, and that's the thing and shit like that, you know, so I believe in my Mariners, bro. All we gotta do, bro, is that, and also the thing is, too, is that there's also a solid part of the bat, and on the top part of that bat. There's a solid part in the middle of the bat, and then there's a solid part in the in the top of the bat, and shit like that. You know what I mean? We need to make sure that we're hitting the ball right on that point, bro. Because literally, dude, because it's just like, I swear, bro, that ball's going to be out of there, bro, if we do that shit, bro. And shit like that, and I'm just saying. But the last thing of what or the two of, or I would say the second to last thing of what I'm going to say is that our pitching got to be A1, bro. A1, bro. Literally, dude. Because it's just like, our pitching been good all through the playoffs, through the ACLS. Like, we've been doing really, really, really fucking good, bro. It's just, we got to do really, really good in the way where we're not going to allow these guys to score much points at all, dude. And shit like that. 6 points, that's way too much, dude. The most points that they could score is like, I would say, is like 3 points. That's the most that they could score, dude. And shit like that. Because that's like the average of what we can be able to score. And shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing and shit like that. You know what I mean? And yeah, and shit like that. But honestly, less than that, no score. And shit like that, But we need to make sure we can do that and shit like that, So this game is gonna be in our game. That's the only way how we can make the series in our type of game. So we can make it defensive. And shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And shit, we're 90-63 in the regular season, man. It is not like we can't do that, man. Our pitching been A1 throughout the whole season, man. And now, literally, bro, like we've been getting better and better and better throughout the postseason, man. And shit like that. You know what I mean? All we gotta do is just realize that statistic pitching, and we got it, man. And shit like that. And that's the thing and shit like that. You know what I mean? But yeah. But then last, what I'm gonna be saying, and stuff like that, is also after this, I'm also gonna be talking about the Seahawks, and shit like that, so still stay tuned for that, and shit like that, you know what I mean? But last but not least is that we need to have Cal Riley and Eugenio Suarez to be our leaders, bro, of our team, man. We gotta have these guys to be our leader of our team, man. Literally, man. And shit like that, I am just saying, bro. Because our team is doing really good at being able to get those free bases and shit like that, but we weren't able to keep those bases. There was time where we had Cal Riley on the plate, Eugenio Suarez at the plate, man. We need to be able to have some good coaching, elite coaching, and shit like that, for Eugenio Suarez and Cal Riley, so it can be able, so these guys can hit that damn ball, dude. And shit like that. Because literally, bro, we need these guys to be at the end of the day, our most consistent hitters. The hitters that no matter what is going to be driven somewhere. And shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And once that happens, then our whole team is electrified. And shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing and shit like that. You know what I mean? But we gotta have Cal Riley and Eugenio Suarez to be our leaders of our team, man. We gotta have them to be our leaders of our team, bro. Like, seriously, man. And shit like that, because it's just like, and I believe it, man. And I have all the faith, all the confidence that we could be able to do that, and shit like that, you know what I mean? But it's just in that last game, there was no fucking way that they should have got neutralized like that, bro. Like literally, they got completely neutralized, dude. I don't even think that Eugenio Suarez even had a hit at all. Neither fucking Cal Riley, shit like that. I think Cal had one hit, but then it was caught, and stuff like that, but still, that doesn't count, because then that was an out, and shit like that, you know what I mean? And that's the thing and shit like that, so that's the thing and shit, so Eugenio Suarez, man, Cal Riley, we need you guys to be our leaders of this team, man. We gotta have you guys to be the leaders of this team, bro. Seriously, man. And yeah, bro, it's just, we gotta have these guys to be the leader of this team, bro. And shit like that, you know what I mean? Because, I'm just saying, because if they're not gonna be doing anything, that makes our team really incompetent, and shit like that, and incompetent, and shit like that, and shit. Like, hopefully I said that right. Inconfident and incompetent, and shit like that. Whenever, Cal Riley and Eugenio Suarez doesn't, get their hits in at all, and shit like that. You know what I mean? But the one guy too that I would consider, to be also our leaderboard too is Jorge Polanco. I would like to see Polanco step up, and shit like that. I would just more like to see him step up, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Because once he steps up, he actually like showcases of something, and shit like that. You know what I mean? It's just more of once he steps up, then he's back into the gutter, and shit like that. But he's at least doing enough to be showcased, shit. But also Julio Rodriguez, all of our players are pretty good, and shit. But I would just say the other guy besides Cal Riley and Eugenio Suarez of who I would like to step up more is Polanco, because I want to see him be more consistent at long drive hits and shit like that, and stuff like that, field hits, and shit like that, field-based hits, long drive-based hits, and shit like that, like, I want to see more of that, today from Jorge Polanco, and shit like that, and that's the thing and shit like that, but mainly Cal Riley and Eugenio Suarez, I want to see, something from that duo. Because that's our main guys and shit. Like, that's our main, that's our main hitters on our team right now is Cal Riley and Eugenio Suarez, and shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing and shit like that, But yeah, man, and shit like that, But go Mariners, bro. I'm rooting for you guys, man. We just gotta we just gotta get our scheme playing better. Get these outs quicker, and we'll be able to win this game, and shit like that. I know that hitting that ball is a pain in the ass, but literally, bro. But we gotta hit that ball, man. No pressure, just hit that ball, hit it center on that, hit it to the solid center of the bat, the top solid of the bat, and shit like that, and make sure that it's straight where the ball is straight onto there, and shit like that, you know what I mean? And that's the thing and shit like that, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, and shit like that, But either way and shit like that, I'm proud of you, Mariners. I'm so fucking proud of you guys, bro. Regardless of win, lose, or draw, I am proud of you guys, regardless of anything, man. I am proud of you guys, man. Seriously. We came through so fucking much, bro. Literally, bro. Like, the ups and downs of this season. I mean, we had more ups of this season, but we definitely had some downs of this season for sure. And shit like that, But then just overall, it's just of the history of the Mariners. It's just like, we have done more than anybody has done for the Mariners. Even Ichiro. Even though Ichiro is no matter what is going to be labeled as our best Mariner, and shit like that, and that's the thing. I mean, even though Cal Riley is definitely up there and shit like that, you know what I mean? But I want to see them more consistent, with their hits before they're compared to Ichiro, and shit like that. Ichiro would have already won this series by now, and shit. I'm just being completely honest, and shit like that. Like Ichiro would have won us this series by now, and shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing and shit, But yeah, man, and shit like that, But go Mariners, bro. I have all the faith in you guys. Let's do it, man. Let's get it, bro. But on to talking about my Seattle Seahawks.